Good afternoon, one and all. Welcome to this webinar on product compliance and safety of oxygen concentrator, brought to you by ICAT. My name is Venkatramana B, and I am serving as advisor medical devices and IVD testing at ICAT Manesar. ICAT stands for International Center for Automotive Technology, and it is an autonomous lab under Department of Heavy Industry, Government of India. This program is brought to you in collaboration with Aspire, which stands for Automotive Solutions Portal for Industry Research and Education. Aspire has taken this initiative of conducting webinars in various timely topics as part of the celebration of Azadi Ka Amrut Mahotsav, the 75th anniversary of our independence, aiming towards reinforcing the concept of Atmanirbhar Bharat. As you all know, in the medtech sector, Atmanirbhar Bharat or self-sufficiency is very important and critical. Therefore, we hope that this webinar will be very much useful to the medtech industry and especially those manufacturers who are looking to provide solutions for the current pandemic. At first, I would like to, as our first speaker, we have Shri P.B. Anuraj, who is Senior Manager at ICAT Manesar. Shri Anuraj has extensive experience in NATRIP, Department of Heavy Industry, as well as ICAT. And he is an electrical engineer with extensive background in operations, and he also holds an MBA in operations management. Over to you, Anuraj.
Good afternoon and hearty welcome to all my delegates and participants for this webinar on medtech solutions, especially targeted on O2 concentrators. So I'll just give a brief on ICAT. I'll just take 2 minutes to have an introduction about ICAT and its capabilities. ICAT is an NABL accredited testing and validating center, which is under Ministry of Heavy Industries. And ICAT has an investment of approximately 1100 crore, and ICAT is equipped with all testing labs for the vehicle and non-automotive sectors. They've got state-of-art testing facilities in the country. And we have a technology portal, Aspire, in which collaboration we are doing the current webinars. Aspire is a technology portal in which all the technocrats and startups can give their technology papers, give their inventions, and in the partnership of ICAT, we support the product development of all the automotive and non-automotive sectors. And these are the procedures for registering in the Aspire portal. So, every member, every engineer, every startups, every manufacturers can register into Aspire portal and be a part of Atmanirbhar Bharat. We can help in developing all the products indigenously. And next, I'll come to the capabilities. Actually, ICAT is more into the engineering testing of medtech equipments. Even though medtech equipment has other tests like clinical trials and biocompatibility, but ICAT is concentrating on engineering tests. We have got the biggest EMC lab in the country, which can cater to IEC 6060112 testings. So it has got the biggest component and vehicle level chamber. So to any level, we can test the equipments in our lab. And the next, we have got the safety labs. We can cater to all safety requirements. And the next one is the NVS lab, which is one of the biggest in Asia. We have got the biggest NVS lab, which is a center of excellence in ICAT. So we can support all your engineering test needs in ICAT. And ICAT is always there for the medical fraternity as an R&D support, your testing compliance support. And thank you all, and I wish all the best for this webinar to Mr. Venkat and all my delegates, my participants. Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Anurag sir. And now we'll go to our first technical expert, invited technical expert, who is Sri Dilip Kumar. He's a biomedical technologist who specializes in application of technology and innovations in medical devices. He is currently leading health policy. He is scientist D and currently leading health technology policy at Andhra Pradesh MedTech Zone. Sri Dilip Kumar has extensive experience in working in various government schemes, including Pradhan Mantri Swasthya Suraksha Yojana under Ministry of Health, Government of India, as well as the World Bank for Uttar Pradesh Health Systems Strengthening Project and Asian Development Bank, Ayushman Bharat HWC project, and so on. He is also serving as Additional Director Technical of Medivalley Incubator under Atal Incubation Mission of Niti Aayog and BioValley Incubator under Department of Biotechnology, Government of India. He is an expert on several medical device standards and is on several medical device standards committees of the BIS and similar bodies. He is also a technical expert for Chairman, Technical Committee of Product Linked Incentive PLI Scheme for Medical Devices, Department of Pharma, Government of India. Over to you, Dilip sir.
Thank you, Mr. Venkat, for that introduction. I hope I am audible.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So I thank you, ICAT team, for the invitation. And first, I should appreciate your team doing excellent work in the testing domain for automotive from many years and now in medical devices. So here I am today to tell you about the particular standard which is applicable for oxygen concentrator, which is ISO 80601-269. So I am Dilip Kumar. I represent Kalam Institute of Health Technology and lead technology policy department. So basically, Kalam Institute of Health Technology is a Government of India project supported by Department of Biotechnology to promote and to support innovation in medical technologies through R&D, industry promotion, policy making, and other services. It is under the umbrella of AMTZ, which is Andhra Pradesh MedTech Zone. It's a world's first integrated medical device manufacturing ecosystem, which is spread around 270 acres here in Visakhapatnam, and it have its own features like pre-built manufacturing units, common scientific facilities like testing facilities like biomaterial, EMI, EMC, and 3D printing labs, gamma irradiation facility, and medical testing lab where you can test right from N95 mask to the medical gowns. So this is a brief introduction about the organizations. And KIST, in terms of Indian standards, is been associated with Bureau of Indian Standards, which is a national body for formulation of many standards in different categories. But there is a MSD department, which is a medical and hospital planning department in Bureau of Indian Standards, which focus on the medical devices standards, and the KIST been associated with BIS from last 2 years. It's been more than 2 years. So and we have supported BIS for formulation of medical devices standards, and now you can see in their website around 1405 medical equipment standards has been published, and many more has to come, because BIS is also a P member, which is participating member for international standardization organization body like ISO and IEC, which is International Electrotechnical Commission for many electrical and electronics standards. And first of all, standard, what is actually a standard? Standard, nothing but it's a technical document which establishes the engineering and technical criteria or methods or testing procedures to check whether it meets the safety and performance for any particular device. And it's formulated by many number of experts in different domains and from different organizations. They represent actually manufacturers, seller, buyers. So it's a consensus of many people who actually forms the testing procedures and form this standard, which is applicable to many categories of medical devices. So, for example, in India, the Bureau of Indian Standards have around 16 sectional committees of different categories, where this technical committees, covers different categories of the medical devices. So KST being in every committee and helping out on the process of formulation of standards. So if you see the medical equipment standards, there is a series which you might have aware, which is shown in my PPT. There are a series of standards. One is horizontal standard, which is applicable to particular, for example, for the radiology, the 60601-1-3 is applicable. As you can see, it's a horizontal or collateral, we say. And if you see the particular standard, which is we also called as vertical standard, for example, for oxygen concentrators, it's 80601-2-69. So as today is the topic for oxygen concentrator, the particular standard for the oxygen concentrator is 80601-2-69, which is a particular requirement for the basic safety and essential performance of the oxygen concentrator equipment. And normally the tests we conduct as per these standards are listed, which are about 8. The legibility of markings, where we see physical visual inspection will be carried out to ensure the warning signs placed on the product are clearly visible and legible, and like operating manual content must be clear enough to read. So these are the particulars which are mentioned in this particular standard for oxygen concentrator. There are other, if you see the protection against electrical hazards, where the IEC 60601-1 standard is applicable, where we test the earth bounding testing, leakage measurement, power input measurement. So the test setup is in a different way, where it is clearly mentioned in the standard, and some are confidential to disclose. So I'm just explaining in a general way what this standard covers in perspective to the testing of oxygen concentrator. So next is protection against mechanical hazards, where it is as per 1-1. The mechanical tests, ball pressure test, trapping zone, and instability, overbalance, rough handling test, acoustic energy is being conducted on the mechanical part. For electromagnetic compatibility, there is a standard which is IEC 60601-1-2, which talks about the EMC as well. So we conduct the radiated emission test, and also conducted emission test, and we see the electrostatic discharge test as well, and the surge test. So these are commonly test as per 2-69 in electromagnetic compatibility we test. And next is biocompatibility. I think we have ISO 185621 standard, which applies for the parts and the accessories and the gas pathways, where we check the biocompatibility as it will be in contact with the patient or a human. So these are the particular tests in general, or a kind of overview of particular standard which is applicable to oxygen concentrator. So in AMTZ, as I said, it's having a common scientific facilities. So we have a pre-compliance NABL accredited laboratory where we test the medical devices. For startups, it's a free access to these labs, and at the prototype stage, they can test their device and rectify if there is any defect as per and if it is not complying as per the standard. And there is a full compliance lab which is set up in a PPP mode, public-private partnership with so the operation or the service provider is TUV Inland, which is renowned testing body, and also they have one of the largest EMI EMC facility at AMTZ with a 10-meter semi-anechoic chamber, and we have acoustic chamber too, where we can test as per the IEC 60601-8, which is particular to the testing of medical alarms. So there are many which we do for electrical and electronics medical devices. And also we do have the biomaterial testing lab, where we do the biocompatibility as per 10933, but as per 2-69 for oxygen concentrator, we do the ISO 18562-1 for their parts and accessories. And also there is a calibration lab where as you know, the calibration is carried out to minimize the uncertainty in measurements, and which is very important to reducing errors, and this lab should be accredited by NABL as per compliance of the international standard 17025. For in respective to the oxygen concentrator, so for calibration, for example, testing the purity and the performance of the oxygen concentrator can be tested by connecting to the gas flow analyzer. So we, in our labs, we use a Fluke gas flow analyzer, where we can test as per the required standard, and we can check the purity. So as the standard says, the tolerance is plus or minus 3 with 93% of purity for specific to oxygen concentrators. And also I want to say about 60601-9, which talks about requirements for environmental concise design. It is one of the standard which I recommend to BIS as well to adopt, as we are taking the steps towards the excellence in medical devices industry. This is the standard where we should think of protecting the environment and health and human health from hazardous substances. So this is the standard which is one of the important in respect to the general standard, which is about safety and performance. And also we have a platform which is Techola. It is open to all the services, like even ICAT can register in Techola and provide their listings of the services, so that people can approach this platform and can see what all technical services in respect to medical devices they can get, and compare the prices and take the services. So this is one of the our IT team has developed in-house in KIST. Thank you very much. I can take the questions now if needed, or I can take at the end of the session when all the presentations are done, or you can write if you have any specific queries in deep in respect to the testings, you can write to my email ID, which is mentioned, dilip.kumar@amtz.in. And for more details, you can visit our website too. Thank you so much. Yeah, that's it from my end.
Thank you very much, Dilip sir. It was an excellent presentation covering all the critical standards, and I hope that audience would have benefited from your vast experience. And we also hope that as part of the BIS, technical advisory committee, we will soon see an IS standard for oxygen concentrators also. Thank you very much, sir. Now, I'll introduce our second technical expert speaker, who is Dr. Ashish Kanodia. Dr. Ashish Kanodia is an MD in anesthesiology and a senior anesthesiology faculty at Sanjay Gandhi Institute of Postgraduate Medical Institute in Lucknow. And he is one of the few clinician scientists in India. And being an anesthesiologist, he has also developed several medical devices which are related to respiratory care. And we hope that the audience, and specifically the medical device fraternity, will learn something about clinical testing and trials or biocompatibility and a lot of clinical aspects, as well as the key need for regulation in medical devices. Over to you, sir, and welcome once. Sir, kindly, if you could unmute yourself, sir, Dr. Ashish. It's in the right side panel, sir.
Ashish sir, can you please unmute yourself? It would be, can you please click on go to webinar? In the start menu, can you please click on go to webinar? Then on the right side panel, there would be a mic option. Can you please click on that, sir? Yes, sir, you are audible now.
Yeah, it was muted from organizer side. Hello, am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible now.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Am
sir,
I
you are
audible?
audible. Yes, sir.
And my presentation is also visible?
Yes, sir, your presentation is also visible.
Okay. So, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for inviting me for this webinar. In this presentation, I will be talking briefly about the medical aspect of oxygen concentrators and what are the testings being done, what testings are required as far as requirement of gas passage or breathing passage are required. So oxygen concentrators are in use since the early 1980s for the different type of respiratory problems like coronary, chronic obstructive diseases and terminally ill patients who has advanced heart ailments like cardiac failure, and its development gained popularity and several manufacturers came into picture after 1980s, when in United States the health insurance companies started paying only a fixed amount for home care oxygen therapy units. So after that, oxygen concentrator manufacturing has seen a boost. and several type of oxygen concentrators were made. So basically, initially oxygen concentrators were made for the home care use, and they could provide flows from 1 to 5 liters, and in the concentration was around 80 to 90%. Later on, further development, oxygen concentrators up to the flow of 10 liters were developed, and some of the portable oxygen concentrators were developed for ambulatory oxygen therapies for the very terminally ill patients who were totally dependent on the oxygen. And now after the second wave of COVID, the demand of oxygen concentrator gone up very quickly, and many people have started buying it, and they wanted to use it as there were difficulty in getting beds in hospitals. So as a desperate measure, many people have started, and the demand of oxygen concentrators really gone up, and many companies have started manufacturing oxygen concentrators now in our country also. So as if we see, there is no Indian data how many patients are being given oxygen therapy at the home, but there is data available from United States, which says there's around 1.5 million adults in US are getting oxygen therapy, and most of these patients are getting oxygen through oxygen concentrators only. And if we see the data from India, in India around 30 million patients are with the chronic lung diseases, out of which many patients might require oxygen therapy, though we don't have exact data how much patients are on the oxygen therapy in India. So oxygen concentrators can provide supplemental oxygen to these patients and improve the lifestyle. So this is the typical oxygen concentrator, which may be from 1 to 5 liter or 5 to 10 liter depending on manufacturers. And if you see the oxygen range, it might be showing 90% plus minus 3, but if you go into the detail, it will say that at 1 liter it's giving 90%, and at the 5 or 10 liter it's giving just 30%. So most of the portable oxygen concentrators which are meant for the home use, they are not good enough for COVID period though, but still people are buying it and using it. If you see the concentration here, it's pretty low. So the other companies which are providing oxygen concentrators for hospital uses, they do provide higher purity over 93%, even at 5 liter or 10 liter depending on model, and they do have higher compressor, so they have a higher weight as well. So these are different models. Depending on flow, you can see the weight increases. So there are some specifications which have been given by World Health Organization, which says that oxygen concentrator should provide at least more than 82% or preferably more than 90% from room air, and it should provide continuous flow up to 5 liter, 8 liter or 10 liters, and concentration should not drop below the 82%. It should be operational through the regular electric supply and should be power efficient, and it should flow meter should be calibrated in the range of 0.5 liter per minute or less, and flow meters should be adjustable at the 0.5 liter per minute for up to 5 liters, and after that 1 liter per minute for the larger model, and should not produce noise more than 60 decibels, and should be splash proof so that it can be cleaned, and should be mechanical shock resistant, should be electromagnetically compatible, and should be tested for electrical safety as well. And it should have a audio and visual alarm for the low oxygen concentrator, low concentration. If concentration goes below 80%, should have a power supply failure, increased temperature, low battery if it has a inbuilt battery backup, and low, high or no flow pressures. And the weight of the machine should not be more than 27 kg. So regarding testing related to medical, we usually test for volatile organic compounds and the particulate matters. So if we do not test for volatile organic compounds and these are inhaled, it may create conjunctival irritation, that is eye redness, nose and throat discomfort, headache, allergic reactions, difficulty in breathing, and nausea and vomiting. So that's why testing for volatile organic compounds is must for these devices. And regarding the particulate matter, there are different type of health problems which have been associated with the particulate matter, depending on what is the size of particulate matter, whether it's 10 micron, 2.5 or 5 micron. So they may pose different type of problems like respiratory effects such as asthma, bronchitis, and so on. So that's why it should be tested for particulate matter also. And these all testings are done under ISO 18562. So before that, there were no standards for testing the gas pathway. So it basically addresses the incompatibility between the methods which were present with the ISO 10993, and the goal was to provide patient safety based on the risk approach, testing based on the risk approach. So the only way the dry gas devices can communicate is that the gas which is flowing through the device itself, it gets analytically tested, and it should focus on the gas which can provide sufficient data regarding the particulate matter, regarding the VOCs, regarding the toxicological risk and other things. So basically dry gas is used as a carrier for volatile organic compounds, for particulate matters and other inorganic gases, and this is being tested so it tests the biocompatibility of the medical devices with the breathing gas pathway when the gas is expected to contact the patient via the respiratory tract, it is necessary to evaluate the contaminants from the air emitted from the device, and applicable standards are ISO 185621, ISO 185622, and ISO 185623, and ISO 185624. So the particulate matters which has been directed towards the device is having collected and sampled, and these are tested by the light scattering photometry and analyzed for the particulate matter of 2.5 or 10, and then depending on monitoring whether they are minimum, maximum, or average concentration, those are recorded. And regarding volatile organic compounds, these are also collected in the same way by directing clean dry air through the test article in an environment, and gas samples are analyzed for VOCs by gas chromatography or mass spectrometry, and the concentration of VOCs in microgram per cubic meter is reported. And also the toxic gases like carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, and ozone can also be tested. And these are also being tested at the flow rate and the maximum temperature. So if we keep the flow rates minimum and temperature to the maximum, there are chances of more concentrated vapors being delivered. So it tests the worst conditions for VOCs and particulate matter. So ISO 18562 offers a common sense and risk-based approach to medical devices, which communicates with the gas path, which contacts the patient tissues. And the parameters which are tested for these should be carefully selected, and clinically relevant high temperature should be used, and lowest possible flows should be used for selecting the volatile organic compounds, and the highest possible flow rates should be used for the particulate matters to accomplish the goal. Thank you so much. Hello. Hello. Am I audible? Hello. Hello.
Thank you very much, sir, for the informative talk on biocompatibility.
Venkat, you are not audible.
Camera band kar dejiye. Thank you very much, sir, for the informative talk on biocompatibility. It was great that you made time in your busy schedule. Now, our next speaker, Professor Ramkumar, will be joining shortly due to some unexpected event. So we will do the question answer session now. So audience, if you have any questions, you can type it in your screen and we will read out. And maybe our first question is that is there any standards and testings available for oxygen generator plant? That is from Mr. Paresh Patel. So I guess Dilip sir, would you be able to answer about it, sir?
Yeah. So is it PSA oxygen plants? which is around 500 lpm, 500 or 250 lpm. So that comes under different standard, which the standard which I have explained was for the portable oxygen concentrators. And for PSA, I'm not just aware of what applicable standards are there, but it doesn't falls under 2-69. Mr. Venkat,
The
you're
second
not audible.
question
Yeah.
is from a company known as Pramukh Medical Devices. They want to know, is there any standard for zeolites specifically to be used in the oxygen concentrator? Because I guess that is one of the key pain points for most of the manufacturers.
Yes. So zeolite, the zeolite actually is an extract from lithium or the sodium one. So it totally depends upon the quality in terms of because it actually determines the purity. If, for example, there are 4 suppliers like Honeywell and one Chinese company who supplies the zeolite, but when when you see the quality of each of them is totally different. If 1 kg of zeolite is used, that actually of Honeywell, that actually caters the as per the specification, which is 93% plus or minus 3. But if you see the Chinese one, the quality, if they want to meet 93 purity, they at least need 1.5 kg of zeolite. So it totally depends upon the zeolite density, where the purity purity of oxygen is totally dependent upon that. But I don't think in our labs the zeolite, it is tested in biomaterial testing lab regarding the characterization of the zeolite.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Ashish, do you have any points to add on the quality of zeolite from your experience?
As per standards, I'm not aware, but of course, as the sir has mentioned, that manufacturers quality control is important thing. So a reliable supplier is good rather than going for a supplier who doesn't have any prior experience or regarding the quality control or so. Like we were when I was trying to make a prototype for my own project, there were some suppliers like Honeywell I used. That quality was good, but I have used some other suppliers also, so the concentration gone down. So that is a reliable experienced supplier who keeps an eye on quality control is
Dr.
a good, but I don't know if there is any.
Yes, sir. Are you able to join from the link, sir?
Pardon?
सर 1 सेकंड, आप फोन ले लीजिए डॉक्टर राम कुमार को, आप उनको कॉल करके उनको हेल्प करिए, अपना नंबर ले लीजिए. Okay, thank you, sir, and thank you for sharing your experience. And there is another question from Mr. Manoj. Is there anything related to flow rate which is critical with respect to biocompatibility, sir?
That depends whether you want to test for particulate matter or for VOC. Like for VOC, it will be diluted if flows are higher. So VOCs are, and it's temperature dependent also. So VOC, for VOC testing, the temperature should be the maximum allowable, which will be during clinical use, and the flows should be minimum. So that is critical for VOC analysis. And regarding particulate matter, the higher the flows, the more particulate matter will be generated or thrown out. So for VOC, lower flow at a highest possible temperature as far as clinical scenario is considered, like 40 degrees or so. And for particulate matter, highest possible flows, like if any oxygen concentrator is giving 5 liters, so it should be tested at 5 liters maximum. Hello. Hello. Hello.
Yes, I think I was not audible. So the next question is a general question. Maybe it's one of the last two questions. It's from Dr. Anburajan. He's asking, at what condition of COVID for a patient, the O2 concentrator is recommended by the doctor?
For COVID patients, oxygen concentrators can be used for home care for a mild to moderate cases where oxygen requirement is not much high, like in the range of 4-5 liters per minute. But during selection of oxygen concentrator, one must see what concentration is being given at maximum flow. Like if someone someone want to buy a oxygen concentrator for home use during COVID period, so he must see what is the oxygen concentration being delivered as maximum flows. Like someone buys 5-liter oxygen concentrator, and it has written that it's giving 93%, 90 plus minus 3% at 1 liter, but at 5 liter it's giving only 30-40%, then it's of not much use. So for COVID use, for home care therapy, one must try to buy a oxygen concentrator which at least delivers more than 80% or 75% at maximum flows, like 5 liter, because oxygen requirement in COVID patients is much high, because initially concentrators were made for chronic lung disease patients whose oxygen requirement was not that high, like 1 liter or 2 liters hardly. So those patients doesn't require that much oxygen, but in COVID patients, oxygen requirement is pretty high. So one must ensure that it delivers at least 75 to 80% at maximum flows. Like if you are buying 5 liter, then it should give more than 80% or 75% at 5 liter. If someone is buying 10 liter, then same concentration should be delivered at 10 liters. Hello. Hello. Am I audible?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Dilip, sir, there are questions from about a lot of 3-4 manufacturers. I'll condense them into one question. All of them want, there are certain critical components such as zeolite or the oil-free compressor, or then there are some sort of special solenoids and so on. So they want to ask, is AMTZ doing something in making these critical components available to the manufacturer? So one manufacturer has asked about oil-free compressor, another about zeolite, another one about so on. So
Yes.
and specifically the mold, specifically the external mold also, because making the mold also is quite expensive. Yes, sir.
So in AMTZ, in recent times, we have around 4 manufacturers in the zone. As per experience, previously we used to import the oil-free compressors. Like if you have heard about the Thomas, which is a renowned company for manufacturing of oil-free compressors, which are used in oxygen concentrator. So that manufacturer is available at AMTZ now, and actually he supplies and manufactures the oil-free compressor at the zone. So and also we have a Stanley Black and Decker, who actually manufactures various tools you might be heard of, and now he is planning to set up a manufacturing plant for manufacturing of solenoid valves. So we do support in manufacturing or getting the components, the critical components, as you mentioned, the compressors, solenoid valves, and also yes, there is a huge demand of Geolite, and but Geolite is not manufacturing in India, but as I said, Honeywell USA and one of the Chinese company who actually have one of the company in France. We are actually in talks with them and planning to manufacture the zeolite as well in the AMTZ.
Good to know, sir. And I will also put the contact of the speakers when we post it on the net. And there is one final question, sir. It is from a leading manufacturer who wants to know, is there any specific reason why the weight of the oxygen concentrator should not exceed 27 kgs? And in the follow-up, when will be this ISO 80601-2-69 harmonized in India? So that's, I think, any insights on these two, sir? Because this 27 kg limit is coming up again and again, and it's a problem for many manufacturers.
Yes, what I can understand, as it's a normally if you see the oxygen concentrators, we should be portable as it is used in home healthcare environment. So so the weight really matters. So that is the reason. And also BIS, Bureau of Indian Standards, which is a national standards body, is already in process of adopting the international standard, which is 80601-2-69. So I think within few months it will be published. Over to you.
Thank you very much, sir. One final question for Dr. Ashish. Is there any significance of 10 liters per 10-liter machine versus 5 liters, sir? Which one should our manufacturers concentrate if there is a third wave? Which one do you recommend is a better product for India?
Actually, for home therapy, the oxygen concentrators which were made initially, they were not meant for the disease like COVID. Okay, where oxygen requirement is pretty high. So it was basically for chronic lung diseases or severe heart diseases where oxygen requirement is very small. So for home care therapy, 5 liter is fine. But there are some rural areas, rural hospitals where getting oxygen cylinders and filled it periodically may not be possible or may not be economical. So in those areas, these 10-liter oxygen concentrators are used mostly, and these 10-liter oxygen concentrators most of the time has uh, capacity to cater to 2 patients. So in most of for the house use, 5 liter is good, and for the hospital use, mostly 10 liter is preferred. So for rural hospitals or where oxygen cylinders are not available readily. So for hospital use 10 liter, for home use 5 liter. But
Just
for
to add,
as far as third wave is concerned, since oxygen demand is pretty high in COVID patients, so even 10 liters will be a better choice as far as COVID is concerned.
Thank you very much, sir. Now our third speaker will be shortly joining us. So I'll just introduce him. Our third speaker is Dr. J. Ramkumar. Professor J. Ramkumar is currently a professor in the Department of Mechanical Engineering at IIT Kanpur. He has earned his doctorate from Indian Institute of Technology, Madras, Chennai, and his research initially was concentrated on micro and nano machining and finishing. He has also worked on tribology, coatings, and corrosion for both engineering and biomedical applications. He has published over 200 articles in peer-reviewed international journals and has delivered over 80 lectures in international conferences. Currently, he is the lead project investigator for a medtech facility being developed in IIT Kanpur, which will contribute hopefully a lot in self-sufficiency and Atmanirbhar Bharat in future. Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. So first of all, thanks to the organizers for giving me an opportunity, and sorry to all the participants that there was a big technical snag which happened in our campus. So I was jumping between rooms and I could not get connected. So thank you so much for being patient. So let me quickly go ahead and present my talk, whatever I had. See, the first thing is you all have a quality standards which is already available with you. But here my prime focus is going to be how do you make a successful product to meet to those standards and win in your life. So that is what is the presentation what I have kept today. So the approach what by the way, we also developed oxygen concentrator during the second COVID wave. So we have did a technology transfer to two companies, one in Aurangabad and one in Bangalore we did. So we had some experience. So we that's what I thought we should go ahead in presenting it to you. So the approach what we used was a design thinking approach. So what is design thinking? So design thinking is an iterative process which helps the designer to involve clients and the customers in making a meaningful way. So that means to say any product you develop, you should have prime customers, not the quality standards, but the the user. That is one. So here in this case, it is pretty interesting. In this case, you have a user in terms of oxygen concentrator is a doctor. So our customers are doctors, not the patients. The patient does not know whether he would like to have he does not want even to know whether to take the oxygen from the oxygen cylinder or from the oxygen concentrator. What typically a patient wants is he wants oxygen. And who exactly has to decide whether to give it from a cylinder or through an oxygen concentrator is going to be the doctor. Okay, and many a times when it is 6 liters per minute and then giving an oxygen, it also needs some amount of training wherein which a paramedic has to do. So primarily who has to accept our product is the doctor. And the second thing, the paramedic, he has to accept it. So these two people, when they accept it, then only the product is going to be successful. So the iterative design process helps the designer. Who is a designer? You are the designer. See, I know many of you are MSMP company owners, many of you are designers, many of you are automobile industry. You all spend a lot of time. I am just telling you, you are the designer. Now, how do you develop a product? See, if your product is not developed to meet out to the customer demand, then it will no way be accepted. So right now, what you have to think in mind is, let us try to develop a product wherein which the standards plus the customer is kept in mind, and we do a proper choice of our material. That material means system, subsystem, everything, such that you can quickly develop and go to the market. Okay, so design thinking is a blend of logic, powerful imagination, systematic reasoning, and intuition to bring to the table the idea that promise to solve the problems of the clients with desirable outcome. So if you look at design thinking approach, it will try to have 5 steps. The first step is the empathy step. Okay, so when we started doing this empathy step, everybody said 6 liters chahiye, it has to be 93 plus or minus 3% if you want to make a concentrator. But when I went to lot of government hospitals nearby in Kanpur and Lucknow, when I started discussing with KGMU doctors, they said, see, this is what is the standard says, but for surviving a patient, it is good enough if you start even bringing it to 3 liters, but giving 90%, 2 liters giving 90%. So when the crisis was there, we should understand what exactly does the customer want. So the customer is doctor, and please don't go by somebody here say it is doctor. The doctor says we spent enough time with the doctor. We understood exactly what the doctor wants. So there is a spectrum required. So 6 liters is one segment, 10 liters is the other segment. Now 14 liters is the third segment. So for each segment, you have to decide what is to be done. There are several ways of generating this oxygen concentrator. So one way of generating this oxygen generator is you can try to use electrolysis route. You split the water into hydrogen and oxygen, somehow make sure the hydrogen is absorbed without producing a bad smell and a safety. You try to generate oxygen, and the oxygen is collected in a cylinder and in a chamber, and then it is given through a nebulizer unit, it is given to the patient. So that is also one way of doing it. The other way of doing it is doing the PSA technique. In PSA technique, the biggest challenge is not the all other electronics, but the challenge is only the zeolite. Taking the zeolite, measuring the size of the zeolite, and trying to maintain the humidity of the zeolite. So you have to understand that. So we did empathy study. We understood a lot of doctors, and then after understanding the doctors, we wrote down what is our definition of the problem. At no way we are going to sacrifice the quality standards, but start writing the definition of the problem. 6 liters. This should be the weight of it. This should be the decibels. We always talk about only 93 plus or minus 3% of concentration of oxygen. We also should keep in mind that when the machine runs, it should not produce noise. The dB should not be more than 50 dB or 30 dB, whatever is given in the specification. So that is priority. That has to be kept in mind. And third thing comes the energy consumption. Okay, we don't worry about cost right in the beginning. So we write all these things in the definition of the problem. We develop somewhere close to 100 ideas. From those 100 ideas, we try to evaluate each idea. Every day we used to do a lot of brainstorming sessions. We used to develop different ideas. Then there was a lot of resource limitation. Then with those things, we developed our prototype. So with this prototype, then we did testing. And after testing, we tried to deliver it to hospitals in and around Kanpur for our trials. Plus also during the time crisis, we tried to make it. So during the empathy study, we try to map, say things. Some people will say things. Some people will only think. Some people will do, and you try to see. Some people will try to feel. From this we used to do. So all these things we will try to do with an empathy study and try to note it down. So then we did a lot of brainstorming sessions to develop multiple ideas. So during empathy study, you have to observe, engage, and listen, and then start doing it. So in the definition stage, these are some of the tricks we followed, and which is also written in books. Amplify the good, eliminate the bad, explore the opposite, question the assumptions. See, people always said 93%. Why not 100%? Why not 96%? Why people say 93%? So we just have to ask such questions. And if there is genuine requirements, we can even say, okay, 80% is okay. Now, what WHO came in between is they said anything less than 80% or 85%, stop it. So that means to say 93% is now relaxed to 85% by World Health Organization. So if you start asking that question, you're right to know. then identify the unexpected resources, create an analogy, and then break the problem into pieces. So all these things we did, and then we try to have a coherent single statement. The single statement should be so well written such that it takes care of all these things. Then we try to ideate, amplify good. So this is what is the ideation stage we did. And we did mind map. So what is the style, what is the line, what is the structure, paper use. Throughout this process, we did not sacrifice the quality standards, which is given by the ISO standards. So then we did lot of ideation. From this mind map, we did ideation. We stuck all these things, whatever thought process came into our mind, and we tried to make prototypes. So the prototypes were made to solve the problem, to communicate, to start a conversation, to fail quickly and cheaply, to test possibilities, and to manage solution building process. Then we started creating the first prototype with whatever material which was available with us in Jugaad form. Then after this, we started developing the electronics. So we use Arduino board to develop all these small electronics. We developed the prototype. After developing the prototype, we started testing our prototype. So this is the empathy stage. This is the definition stage. This is the ideate stage. This is the prototyping stage. The idea gets diverts, then it gets converts, then it gets diverts, then it gets convert. We get a feedback, and then we start doing empathy study, and then we start going. So testing stage, don't tell anything to the customer, show it, don't explain everything. Let your tester interpret the prototype, watch how to use. So all these things you have to do during your testing prototypes with the customer, and then you start doing. So what we did for design thinking approach, oxygen concentrator, is design thinking, empathy study for oxygen concentrator we did. And then we try to study what are the different types of concentrators, centralized oxygen, liquid oxygen, and then these are all the things which are kept near the bedside. So utilizing the oxygen, who all can utilize, and then the oxygen concentrator can also be kept inside a ambulance. Then we saw the conditions due to lack of oxygen, what are all the things, what is the impact it made. Then we tried to develop the solution for lack of oxygen. So then we found out that the nitrogen trap can be done, 90 to 95% oxygen can be released. So then we tried to copy the concept which is already available in the open source, PSA, double stage PSA. So then we defined the stage. We need to develop an oxygen concentrator which can replace the oxygen cylinder. It is very helpful in the current situation where there is a shortage of oxygen. 94% pure oxygen at 10 liters per minute. And it has to be utility, portable, and efficient in use. It has to have digital interface to switch on and switch off. So we developed prototypes. These are the prototypes we developed at IIT Kanpur. Then we did all these things. Here is a doctor with whom we work, and then we developed the oxygen concentrator stage by stage. Compressor was taken. Then this was through functional prototype. Then finally we have devised it through this. This is our oxygen concentrator machine, which we have named it Sanjeevani, which we have did a TOT. Finally, we did a testing phase at different doctors' places. So we got some good output and visibility, and then we developed it. So this is a concentrator which we developed. This is what is the design thinking approach we did in developing it. So in short time, with low cost, we were able to get it done. And many a times when we hit the off-the-shelf items, so then we quickly went and looked for similar setup subsystems available, and then we developed. So this is the conclusion I have. So if there are questions, I'll be happy to take. Sorry, it was out of your time span. I had to rush, but these are the learnings we had. Empathy stage, the designer thinks, put himself or herself into the shoes of the end user. Once the requirements are clear, definition stage comes. In the ideation phase, the design thinker brainstorms. The influx of the idea is present at the mind map, and then the testing phase happens. And then if the end user does not approve the solution, the entire process is reiterated again. So this is what is the design thinking approach for generating the concentrator we have followed. I will be happy to take questions because you are all practical people. So whatever questions you have, you can start asking me. In between, somebody asked me what is the size of the zeolite. Zeolite you get from 10 microns to 100 microns to 400 microns. So we have used to 400 microns, but depending upon the size, sieve, all these things combination, you can choose in the spectrum between 100 microns to 500 microns. So if there are questions, I'll be happy to take. Audience.
Thank you very much, sir, for your presentation. Due to time constraints, we will not be able to take many questions. We will definitely collect all the questions and mail them to the speakers. But I have one question from one manufacturer. I just want to put to you, sir. Are there any Indian manufacturers for compressors? This is from Mr. Umang.
No, sir. No, sir. Sir, there are many people, sir. We asked the same question. We could not get, sir. We could not get. Kirloskar is now trying to work on it, but the compressors what we got, we also struggled. We see, when we do design thinking approach, when you start asking questions, we found out that the dental chair has a compressor which is very efficient. So we use the dental chair compressor. And when we are trying to develop a new product, keep it in mind. Never compromise the quality standards. Never try to say only quality standards first and then develop a product. You have to develop a product, user survey, everything you do, keep the quality standards. So same time both are getting developed. And when you are trying to develop things, try to use what is already approved by the medical board, or the compressor is already used in some other medical device. So using that, we did take the compressor which is available in the dental chair, which is a overkill, by the way. 2-bar pressure. No, we got, yes, 2-bar pressure, 100 liter. So it is a overkill. We don't need that. But saying all these things at the time, resource, the constraints, whatever we had, we really had to struggle. There is one vendor in Delhi who claims that he can do it, but till now his compressor are not been approved by the quality board. So we still have a struggle, and the easiest thing is we get it from China, but due to now recent government rulings, we are finding it difficult. But Chinese, they have very good, and Europeans also have very good compressors. Typically, what you need is somewhere around about 50 liters, sir. And here the biggest challenge is when you start going for 100 liters per minute, it gets heated up. When it gets heated up, you have to develop a heat sink. That heat sink produces heat. So all these things are allied problems. So compressor, no, sir.
Thank you very much.
Which is approved and authentically said by some funding agency, it is not available.
Thank you very much, sir, for patiently answering the question. Your excellent presentation on design thinking for successful product development with respect to you have also shared your generously your experience of oxygen concentrator product development. We hope that it comes into the market soon. Now, finally, in the end, I hope you all had a very good session. So
sir,
first,
if you
I would
can
like
ask,
to...
Sir, if you can give 5 minutes, if anybody can ask a question, they can ask at least 3-4 minutes. If they have any question. If there are any question, 3-4 minutes, sir. Rest questions I will answer. You send me the mail. But because I feel guilty, the audience, I could not address them more. 2-3 questions alone, sir. Rest you send me, I will send it to you by mail.
Okay. Any participants who have, maybe I'll have any other question?
2-3, sir, not more. If they want to talk also, they can ask audio.
Yes, sir. There is one question from one manufacturer who was asking that there is all the manufacturers are, I think, facing some problem in developing a mold, and most of the 3D printed whatever external what I can say, that enclosures, they typically fail the impact test as per IEC 60601 or 80601-2-69 standard. So is there any way of 3D printing? Maybe I think he wants to know,
No,
is
sir.
there any,
Sir, no, sir. No, sir.
any
Sir,
way through which we can justify a metallic cover or go for 3D printing?
Sir, 3D printing, let us understand the fundamentals, sir. It does layer by layer assembling, right? So when you do layer by layer assembling, it will have a heterogenic property. So you will never be able to get a homogeneous property. So any small crack between the layer is going to grow and it will fail. So 3D printing cannot be the right approach to the final thing. But one thing what we can do is using a 3D printing as a mold. From that mold, if you can develop a product, for example, the waste dustbins, which are made out of composites, that mold is made out of rapid prototyping or vacuum foaming. So you can make your closure through vacuum foaming process, and from there you can start using it as a cover for this. This will withstand impact. We have done this composite ATM box for government Reserve Bank of India. So we did lot of impact tests. We used to drop it from the 3rd floor, 5th floor, 10th floor. It used to withstand. So you have to go for a composite. But only thing you should understand is when you go for this polymer, again it should get the clearance of the certification agency. It should not leak when there is a burn test. It should not give fumes. So rapid prototyping can be used for making a mold, not for rapid manufactured final part. And it is no way going to be economical if you make through rapid prototyping, because it takes its own sweet time and it has delamination problems associated with it. And the third thing is it has only a set of materials available. For example, ABS, PLA, PVA, all those things. And if you want to have a combination of something, you will never be able to have. So rapid prototyping is good for prototyping, showing, and for negative die making. From there you take a positive component.
Thank you, sir, for enlightening us on a very critical aspect of enclosure design. This is something which we faced during testing at ICAT also. I will share the contact of the speakers and I will compile all the questions and we will send them to you.
Sure,
also.
sir. Sure, sir.
So,
Sure, sir. Thank you so much. And I'm sorry to audience. Literally today there was a short circuit happened in our transformer, so that led to all the problems.
No problem,
so
sir. It was a great effort for all the effort, and I
thank you very much for the opportunity. I really, at the bottom of my heart, would like to thank all the participants, because you guys, and take it from me, oxygen concentrator is need of the hour, and it is going to take a paradigm shift. The cylinders are going to go out. Oxygen concentrators are going to come in. So you guys are in the right track. Don't worry about COVID-2, COVID-3 and all will come and go. But there is a huge business. Today, everybody would like to buy and keep an oxygen concentrator in their house. They don't mind spending 40,000, 50,000 rupees. So you are in the right business. Please push it, get it done. I wish all of you good luck and best wishes. Thank you to the organizer for giving his space and time for me. And next time, I hope the things will fall in place and I will do a better thing. In fact, one of our testing, we did it with Ashish Kanodia ji with SGPGA. He was one of the doctors who tested our system, what we developed. So he was also part of our team. So thank you to everybody, and I wish you all good luck. Stay safe. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. Now I would like to present the final vote of thanks. We had a excellent presentation from all our technical experts, and I would like to thank all the attendees also for patiently listening. Today in our attendees, there are representatives from about 12 companies which have designed oxygen concentrators, and they are going through various process of testing. And first of all, I would like to thank Dr. Dilip Kumar for excellently elucidating ISO 80601-2-69 standard. And I would like to introduce to the audience that as part of health technology policy at AMTZ, he has been giving technical comments to BIS since the beginning of the COVID, previously for ventilators and now for concentrators and for all other medical products. It's a great work, sir. Thank you very much. And again, thanks to Dr. Ashish Kanodia He is one of the few anesthesiologists who have taken time from their busy schedule to help the medical device manufacturers, understand biocompatibility, understand clinical trials, and so on. And as I have mentioned earlier, he is one of the few clinician scientists whom I know in India who are specialists, and they are also working for the medtech sector. And finally, Professor Ramkumar, thank you. And we hope that your medtech facility at IIT Kanpur comes up soon, and soon it will give a boost to our medtech Atmanirbhar Bharat for medtech sector in India. And for the benefit of the audience, I would like to point out that the medtech facility at IIT Kanpur is funded by BIRAC, Department of Biotechnology, Government of India. And finally, for organizing today's presentation, and I would like to thank ICAT senior management, and specifically the head of EEL EMC lab, Dr. Madhusudan Joshi, and Dr. PB Anuraj, who is senior manager at ICAT, and also the excellent hard work put up by the ICC team as well as the Aspire team, who gave an opportunity to bring all the stakeholders together for this Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, which we are celebrating. So let us hope that by the Independence Day, at least few of our manufacturers will come up with oxygen concentrators, well-certified oxygen concentrators marketed for the world. And ICAT is always there to support you. As Sir told in the beginning, we are one of the few facilities with our partner lab which has A2LA accreditation for ISO 80609-2-69, which is the performance standard of oxygen concentrator. And we can help the industry with all the engineering tests. And thank you one and all. Jai Hind.
Thank you, ICAT team. Take care. Thank you, audience.